Hi, it's Nikki, and this is the important spark of evolution for your guides and tours. Tours are really important. And I know they're important to us in the travel industry, but I mean, on a greater sense, tours are really important. They're a vehicle for local guides to interact with and educate travelers. And if you think about it, tour guides really are ambassadors. There's a chance that the walking tour or food tour that someone takes on their trip will be the only time a traveler can meaningfully interact with the local. That means whatever impression they get from the guide will be their impression of an entire city or of an entire country or of an entire region, which might not be true, but that's what happens, right? That's what they walk away from. And that means tour guiding is important work. So with that said, why wouldn't we want to put our best foot forward as a guide, as a company, as a city that you're representing? Done right, a tour can be the entire highlight of a trip, inspiring the traveler's friends and families to come back and visit the destination one day. Too often, tours are created and rarely refreshed. They just kind of exist and live and rely on the guides to keep information and stories relevant. Yet overworked guides often have to turn to the, busy season survival technique of muscle memory. And this cycle perpetuates tired guides and tours that have lost their mojo, right? Creating stale tours. So in this article, I'll give a defense of the importance of constant evolution, both for your guides and for your bottom line. And I'll share some tips on how to start that spark. So, why constant evolution, right? Creating the spark of constant evolution benefits your business in so many ways. Benefits for the company. Marketing and sales come with a great tour, right? Tours that are relevant, innovative, fresh are always a step ahead of the rest. Most tours are average. I've got on a lot of tours all over the world. Most are average. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They're fun, they're a good time, but I mean average in the sense they meet guest expectations, right? However, that doesn't always translate into a memorable experience. An amazing tour that goes above and beyond expectations is one that will be remembered. And this means that instead of going home and telling family about the amazing food tour they took, you want people to go home and tell them about this amazing tour company they traveled with. Word of mouth marketing and referral sales only come after you've ensured the guest will remember your company name. Benefit for the guides. Guides stay longer with you, and they're more engaged when they don't have to do the same thing over and over. Tour guides are often seen as transient, I think, due to their freelance nature, but a great guide is invaluable. And tour companies have the same, financial loss when they have constant turnover as any other company. Costs a lot of money, time, resources to hire and train up a new guide. Having a great guide that is also a brand ambassador, someone who's worked with your company, loves your company, this makes the difference with guests remembering your brand name. Guides, as I said, are used to giving the same tour over and over. It's part of the job. And because of this, they have many coping mechanisms to help them get through busy season, right? We've all done it as a tour guide. You kind of go through the motions, you have the jokes in the right place, you say it with a smile, guests will never know. Yet, by giving guides tours that are being updated on a regular basis, or even better, empowering guides to improve these tours themselves, you have guides who are now excited to give a tour, meaning they don't have to fake it. And that makes a big difference on a tour. Okay, so how to spark constant evolution, right? Regularly improving and updating your tours doesn't need to take a huge amount of time and resource. It doesn't. It can, and that's amazing. But if you don't have all the time in the world, here are a few ways to spark constant evolution by engaging guides and keeping tours fresh. First one, go through all your tours during the slow season and update them, right? Sounds simple, but it's not something everyone does, right? Update it with fresh information or stories that might have been discovered during the past season. This might include a practical audit of tour logistics, like vendors that are no longer available, or vendors that give guides a hard time, and so why keep them on the tour? Or routes that no longer make sense due to a more interesting route opening up due to a new building or a new mural. This is an easy way to find small improvements to boost the overall experience. Second way you could do it, have guides share their stories with one another. I've talked about this before. It's one of my favorite guide trainings. Guides are often very proud to do this, and new material is very refreshing for other guides, or at least it can inspire them to find new material themselves, right? There's no rule that says each guide needs their own individual stories. You can encourage them to share that with one another. A third thing you could do, trim any additions that have been added organically to the tours, right? Tours evolve on their own. Guides might develop one theme of a tour more than another. One guide might go on the tour and learn it from that guide. So now that's the tour that they give, but they've evolved it from there. This doesn't necessarily result in bad tours. It just results in inconsistency depending on who gives the tour. So just make sure all your guides are on the same page in terms of the tour theme, what's most important about this tour. And then from that same similar foundation, then they can put their spin on it. Does that make sense? And the last fourth thing I think we're up to, engage your guides in the tour updates. Another one of my favorite team meetings is to have guides give tours. They give a score based on company values or other elements, right? You can make up your own scoring system. Spoiler, there's usually a discrepancy in the scores that guides give a tour, so they might all give the same beer tour, but one gives it a 5, one gives it a 2, and that leads to really interesting conversation as to why guides score it differently. But it's really fun. Have guides evaluate the scores together, give their own score, look at them all on a board, and then brainstorm together how to improve the tours that got a lower score overall. So just a few simple ways. There are many more, but it makes a big, big difference.